Welcome back to another video from 55 degrees north. Today we're diving deep into the history of Blackfriars in Newcastle, a hidden gem that has stood for nearly 800 years. From its origins as a 13th century Dominican friary, through the turmoil of Henry VIII's dissolution of monasteries, its rebirth as the headquarters of Newcastle's medieval craft guilds, its decline into Victorian slums, and finally its rescue and transformation into Britain's oldest dining hall and modern heritage site, Blackfriars has seen it all. If you're interested in Newcastle's medieval past or secret historic places in the northeast, then make sure you stick around, because the story of Blackfriars is like walking through every chapter of Newcastle's history in one place. The story begins in 1239 when the Dominican order, also known as the Blackfriars, because of their black cloaks worn over their white robes, came to Newcastle. Unlike monks who lived their secluded lives in abbeys, the Dominicans were teachers, friars, preachers and healers who went out of the city teaching the ordinary people and helping the poor. Legend says the friary has been founded thanks to three sisters, wealthy benefactors who donated land alongside Newcastle's first mayor, Sir Peter Scott, with their support and the patronage of King Henry III, who gifted money and cloth. A grand new friary began to rise just inside the western walls of the city, but a disaster struck in 1248. A devastating fire destroyed the first friary. Undeterred, the Dominicans rebuilt immediately, creating the second, more permanent complex. By the mid-1200s, Blackfriars had become a thriving centre of faith and learning. In medieval Newcastle, Blackfriars wasn't just a religious space, it was a hub for royal politics, education and healing. In 1250 to 1260, Henry III himself stayed at Blackfriars when visiting the north. With no royal inn in the city, the Friars Great Hall hosted the king and his entourage. In 1334, Edward III met the Scottish pretender Edward Balliol here in an attempt to sway Scottish politics. Imagine the drama, kings and nobles negotiating over England and Scotland's future right here in these walls. Blackfriars also ran a library and infirmary, both symbols of Dominicans' roles as teachers and healers. Friary was built in typical medieval style. Around a central cloister courtyard on the north side stood a church, on the east a chapter house, on the south the refectory dining hall, and the dormitories above covered cloister walks linked everything together. Today much of that has gone. The church was demolished in the 16th century, but if you stand in the courtyard you'll see its foundations marked out in the grass. What survives are the cloister ranges, stone buildings that still surround the garth. Step inside and you can still sense the 13th century stonework, thick walls, Gothic arches and timber roofs that echo the centuries of history. But the friars' peaceful life didn't last. In the 1530s, Henry VIII broke with Rome and launched the Dissolution of Monasteries. In 1539, Blackfriars was seized. The friars were expelled, the church was torn down, and much of the cloister arcade was destroyed. Some of the stone was even reused to build a lighthouse at Tyne. Unlike most monasteries though, Blackfriars escaped total ruin. In 1543, the Crown sold the site to City of Newcastle for just over £53. That decision would save Blackfriars for centuries to come. In 1552, Newcastle's powerful craft guilds moved in. The tailors, cordwainers, butchers, bakers, tanners, smiths, fullers and more all divided the old friary buildings between them. Upstairs the guilds held quarterly meetings in the halls. Downstairs the rooms were given to widows and poor members of the guilds as free housing. So Blackfriars became a mix of guild headquarters and almhouses. That's why these medieval buildings survived, because they stayed useful. But as Newcastle surged into the Industrial Revolution, Blackfriars' fortune sank. The once proud guilds that had kept the friary alive were losing their power. Factories and mechanised industries replaced traditional trades, and the old craft companies dwindled. With no money for upkeep, the guild halls fell into decay. The upstairs meeting rooms went quiet, while downstairs chambers, once a refuge for widows, became cramped tenements for families drawn into Newcastle's booming industries. By the mid-1800s, Blackfriars was at the heart of Newcastle's most noisome slum district, Friars Green. The narrow lanes here were overcrowded, sanitation was poor, and diseases spread easily. What had once been cloisters for prayer and study now echoed with the noise of children, quarrels, and the harsh reality of poverty. Visitors in the Victorian era described Friars Green as a dirty, lawless and unsafe. Some of the old guild halls even turned into alehouses. One was nicknamed the Bakers' and Brewers' Arms, a nod to its past. The area became byword for crime, and locals avoided it after dark. The decline reached a shocking low point in 1930 when Blackfriars caretaker was murdered in a brutal attack just outside the Friary gates on Monk Street. His wife was also savagely beaten. The crime horrified the city and cemented Blackfriars' reputation as a dangerous, decayed quarter. By the 1930s, inspectors declared many of the ancient buildings unsafe. The Saddler's Hall was condemned as unfit for human habitation in 1937, and Newcastle City Council began moving people out, and what had been a centre of medieval spirituality and guild pride was now an urban tragedy, a ghost of its past, teetering on the edge of destruction. In the 20th century, campaigners fought to save Blackfriars from demolition. Between 1973 and 1981, the cloister ranges were carefully restored. Archaeologists uncovered the friary's lost church foundations, and the Queen Mother herself visited in 1980 to unveil a plaque. At last, after centuries of neglect, Blackfriars was reborn. Today, Blackfriars is one of Newcastle's best-loved heritage sites. The refectory dining hall is now Blackfriars Restaurant, serving modern food in Britain's oldest dining room. The cloister buildings house craft workshops, a cookery school and exhibitions. And remarkably, some of the Newcastle's ancient guilds still meet here, keeping an unbroken tradition alive since 1552. Step through its gates, you step into nearly 800 years of history, a place where friars prayed, kings feasted, guilds ruled, and the poor found shelter. So that's the incredible journey of Blackfriars, Newcastle upon Tyne, from medieval friary to guildhall to slum, and finally a vibrant historic landmark. Please let me know in the comments below which chapter of Blackfriars history fascinates you the most. If you have liked the video, please give it a massive thumbs up as it really helps the channel grow. And if you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell notification when I release more videos. A massive thank you for watching. I will see you next time, right here on 55 Degrees North.